After more than 2 weeks, some survivors of the deadly fire at the Highland Court Apartments are able to retrieve some of their belongings. While the access to the building is only temporary, some tenants say it makes a big difference. Here's 12 News' Nick Bohr.
It's 2+ weeks since the devastating Mother's Day apartment fire at 27th and Highland killed 5 tenants and left the survivors homeless.
I lost a lot of things in there, you know. I'm not sure if it's burnt all up, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Anthony Barksdale among dozens of survivors at a day-long Red Cross resource fair at the MLK Center.
I just thank God for Red Cross, basically. You know, they're doing an exceptional job helping us.
Among the stations here, one where people who are missing their IDs or driver's license can get them replaced, printed right here on the spot. A huge thing for people who lost their ID in the fire.
Yesterday, I went there and I got a little of my clothes.
You did?
Yeah, I feel good about that.
From your apartment?
From my apartment.
How'd you do that?
He came.
Jason guy?
Yeah, he came in and helped me out.
The building is uninhabitable, but survivors say the landlord's son is now escorting some residents back a few at a time.
Our son's been aiding and assisting those that can't get there to get important papers and different things, so they're working with us.
William Rembert stayed just long enough to grab a few things.
You're getting what you need, and you've been wanting. I don't care if it's your charger to your phone. I left without my teeth. I had to come back to get my teeth. Just things that you need.
While others say they just want to move past it.
Me, personally, I don't know if I want to get my stuff because all the soot and the smoke, and then that being trauma reliving.
At 27th and Highland, Nick Bohr, WISN 12 News.
Investigators have yet to determine a cause. The Red Cross plans to continue operating a temporary shelter at Holler Park as long as it is needed.
Context of white supremacy. Gus T. Renegade still broadcasting live from hell, otherwise known as Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Today's date, Thursday, May 29, 2025. So I have been told. Now, we didn't start with audio with trial coverage, even though I easily could have. We started with audio from WISN. That's what I was watching this morning while prepping for the trial. I'll explain that, and then we'll get into day 3 of the Sade Robinson trial, which was a doozy. It's only been 3 days, and the first day was jury selection, so really it's only been 2 days, and day 2 of the trial, we're already having a doozy. But the non-trial related audio that we started with, the fire that happened at Highland Court. Now that happened so-called Mother's Day, almost 3 weeks ago here in Milwaukee. And I've been paying attention to that fire because I've been watching the news, prepping, to come out here. So I've been seeing other things that have been happening in the news. I've been talking about the lead poisoning in the Milwaukee public schools, the lack of soap at the schools, some of the other cases. This is also something that I brought up because it was 5 black people who were killed in this fire. And with recent information, I think they've said that there were a lack of sprinkler systems in this building, and that dramatically contributed to the loss of life, 5 black people who died, and the loss of property. But that's what they were giving an update on that fire this morning, and they're still investigating. Was this arson, or what was the cause? And you had all of these black people, former residents, saying, I had to save my life, just get out when I could, if I could. I didn't get to grab anything, didn't get to take anything. You heard William Rembert. She was talking, and she said, William Rembert. He was talking, and he said, man, I got out. I left without my teeth. I had to come back and get my teeth. Black male privilege. You say that for William, who seemed a little bit older. That's what I woke up. That audio specifically, that's what I woke up watching this morning. And why I played it was because in the morning, when I say morning, 6 a.m. Central Time, they have local WISN news most of the news for this week, maybe even end of last week, has been Sade Robinson murder trial coverage. And prepping for the trial, and then jury deliberations, and then updates from the previous day, and then what they anticipate is going to be talked about in the coming day's trial testimony. So that's what it was this morning. And then in between that, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about the lead situation, even though the school year is winding down? And oh my goodness, the apartment fire, we going to get William his teeth back? Oh my goodness. And then they had pedestrians being hit. 11-year-old who was lost. They found him though. Thank goodness we got Logan back. But it's just always something bad. Like watching the news, and then when you turn the TV off and you actually go out in Milwaukee, I'm not even saying go to the trial about Sade Robinson. You can just go out in the city. Pay attention to how people drive. I told you they hit pedestrians. I've been seeing that in the news in the preparation to coming out to Wisconsin. Lots of black pedestrians hit by cars, and that's the case in many areas where they have a high population of black people. Road safety, schmode safety, like we running over people left and right. I saw that today repeatedly. Matter of fact, I was at court today. White woman, racist suspect, says she was good friends with Sade and has just been horrified by all this. She said, I took a little break during lunch and I was driving. She said, man, there was almost an accident. I hate going down by this certain area because people just drive all crazy. She said, matter of fact, I was turning down there the other day, and as soon as I came around the corner, I saw a fella, and he was just bouncing off the hood. Now, I bet that was Leroy, bouncing off the hood of some car where he got hit. And they said hit and runs. They don't just run over pedestrians. Hit and run. Keep on rolling. Lamest place in the world. And I mean, after I really started thinking about it, like Sade Robinson case, and Jeffrey Dahmer, and the Milwaukee Strangler, and you can't drink the water, and they don't have soap at the schools, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Milwaukee for sure is in the running. One of the lamest places I've ever been, and it's not even close. It's not even close. They arrest tons of black people. That's throughout the state of Wisconsin. That's not just Milwaukee, and that's not even just, well, they arrest a lot of black people everywhere. That's true. They really, like, you can go look at the data. White people have published reports about this in awe for years, maybe decades at this point. But I mean, even in the system of white supremacy, Wisconsin locks up a lot of Negro males in particular. It is super lame being here. I'm counting down the days to being out here like, woof. Anyway, you can take all that for lots of data in terms of just Milwaukee and, you know, the trial. Anybody thinking about moving to Milwaukee, if you have any family or relatives, help them escape if they live here. I thought that a lot today too. Like, man, if I was black and I lived here, we are escaping to Chicago like immediately. And it's not even that I like Chicago. It's just, hey, Chicago is close. You go there, get a job. They say black people are leaving. You go there, and we got to get out quick because I don't do that cold weather. So you'd have to be out by October, hopefully before then. We just go there to get our act together, and then whew, it's better than Milwaukee. I've been to Chicago many times. It's way better than Milwaukee. I can't even, like, name something good about Milwaukee. Sheena Scarborough? Name something other than Sheena Scarborough. Don't look like Giannis going to be here much longer, so I don't. I guess they got good cheese, but I don't eat cheese, so I don't know. Somebody, the Dahmer tour, they say the Jeff Dahmer tour, they got good chocolate. That's what I'm told. You have to find out, like, tell me something really dope about Wisconsin. Really great, like you just got to do. Lake Michigan. I don't know. Milwaukee is extra lame in my opinion, and Brother Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I see why you left. I'm going to have to do, if I can get the time, I'm going to research Brother Kareem, his years in Milwaukee. 7-foot Muslim in Milwaukee, Jesus Christ. Okay, reorienting to the trial, context for where all this is happening at. Man, I need to rewind even. I said jury selection. That was just Tuesday. Today's Thursday. I did not really grasp, because I don't live here, nor do I reside in Wisconsin. I haven't been here in 15 years. I know we're in a system of white supremacy, racism, but I'm accustomed to being in places in the U.S. that are typically, reliably, white-dominated or white majority populations. That is not Milwaukee. And it's not even close, which I was stunned. I didn't know. If I had known that in advance, that would have greatly influenced my, oh, no wonder this place is a hellhole. Oh, it's no white people here. So, I mean, let this thing go to the dogs, which they have. Metaphor. Now, I looked at the U.S. Census, and all of this was really around the jury composition. It wasn't that I was surprised, because I thought it was going to be an all-white jury, but I was saying, man, I see a lot of black people around here. Like, it should be way more than 2 black people on the jury. They got niggers everywhere here. Why is it only 2 black people on the jury compared to 12 white people on a jury of 15? How is that? After I looked at the census, everybody here's coverage is lame, particularly when I go back and get that article where they talked about how so-called diverse the jury pool is. In fact, let me not be redundant, lame. Everybody who has talked about this case and has not mentioned the jury demographics and how racism, white supremacy impacts so much in terms of that jury pool, it's inaccurate, it supports racism, and you're not even giving listeners accurate data so that they can, earnestly appreciate, oh, this is how it's difficult, how they pack so many niggers into prisons in Milwaukee, and this is why it's so difficult to convict Kyle Rittenhouse. Oh, Breonna Taylor and these old situations happen. Oh. It's not like those other places where we got lots of white people in the pot. No, this is one you might be calling the same white people back for jury duty over and over and over. Meanwhile, you got niggers. I'm never on the jury. I'm getting a jury. See how long they gonna lock me up this time. But 38% when I went, this is the U.S. Census data. This is not Gus. I've been here 3 days and I'm a tinker. The U.S. Census says this is a black majority city. Now, again, if I had known that, I'd definitely going to hell. But wow, why doesn't the jury reflect that? Matter of fact, the whole safe side of the courtroom on the other side of the bulletproof glass has exactly, and I mean exactly, 4 non-white people, not counting the sheriffs. They don't count because they're just there to keep the safety, really. They don't like the bulletproof glass. But all of the attorneys are white. The defendant, even in this case, is white. The judge is white. 12 of the 15 jurors are white. The only non-white people on the safe side of the glass, the 3 non-white jurors, one of them non-white, non-black, and the black female press photographer. That is it. That's how you end up with a lot of these cases. And again, in a city that is 38% Negro, even that is extremely high for a major U.S. city, 38% black. You should have black everywhere. It's only 33% white people in Milwaukee. I don't know if people, were aware of that, because I would advise you to come here. But man, it should be black people everywhere. But black mayor and black city council and black superintendent, black judge, black attorney, just black, everywhere. Postmaster general, everybody, black. Or at least a hefty number. It ain't that at all. At all. Not even close. Like I said, It should be routinely when you go down and you see a jury, it's 5, 7, 8 black people on it. 2, 12 white. It's 33% white people in Milwaukee, and that's probably a lie. It's probably overcount. It's not 33%. Especially people who live in Milwaukee proper, it's not 33%. It's probably more than 38% black people. Time you count all the black people that they don't count because they're homeless, so-called, and in prison and all the rest of it, it's probably more than that. Jury is 80% white in the Sade Robinson trial. Like I said, which if we were in Seattle, oh yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. It's 38% black and it's 33% white in Milwaukee. How is the jury 80% white? Come on, man. Come on. Like, that's the sort of thing right there. That should be like immediate federal indictment. What do they call it when they have some sort of federal court order that, hey, this has got to be, because this is not a one-time thing. This is not isolated. This is widespread and across the planet. White people for more than 100 years have this pattern of keeping niggers off of juries and participating in trials in any capacity. And if you ought to be doing the same thing in Milwaukee, where it's a majority black population, and y'all sitting there, yeah, we know it's lame, we can't do nothing. Matter of fact, when I started thinking about this more after I became aware of it, I looked, white people are not ignorant about this. They are very aware. They got tons of studies and all. And it's not that this happens widespread, because it does, but it's more glaring because it's a black majority city. They don't have that many white people in Milwaukee to be dominating the jury pool like that. This is April 24, 2024 report titled "Facing Mostly White Juries. Are Milwaukee County Defendants of Color Truly Judged by Their Peers?" Heck no. And conversely, so when you get a suspected racist like Max Anderson, is he judged by his so-called peers in Milwaukee? Or did they just pile up 80% white people on the jury and, hey, there you go. Probably got his relatives and cousins on there because there ain't that many white people here. The report, I'm not reading the full thing, but I'm skipping down through. Boom, boom, boom. So they got some Negro male. He's going to be locked up, of course, probably selling crack, raping white women, blah, 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 blah. So they had 40 potential jurors. They whittled it down in this case and were brought before the judge where he was guilty. Just 3 were black. Attorneys for Leroy, 38-year-old privileged black male from Milwaukee's northwest side, made note of it and asked for a new panel. There have been times where I and my client are the only people of color in the courtroom, said Milwaukee attorney Mira Al-Haney, who represented Leroy at the time. It makes you wonder how this can happen even in a place like Milwaukee that doesn't have that many white people. Lawyers, defendants, even some judges acknowledge there are times, many times, that is written in the article, that juries in Milwaukee County appear to lack diversity. You mean lack non-white people, especially black people, in a black majority city? Heck yeah. Like right now in the Sade Robinson case? Heck yeah. It continues. The Constitution, after all, assures anyone accused of a crime the right to be judged by a jury of their peers, not Max Anderson. So defendants of color, is Milwaukee providing adequate justice? And again, it's not just so-called non-white people, defendants of color. It's when white people go. Are they getting a jury of their peers? No. You should be, Max Anderson, you should be in front of 8 black people. You killed a black female, I think. Especially after today. Ooh. It was, anyway. You should be in front of about 7, 8 black people and convince them you didn't do nothing. Won't me. I was in the wrong place, the wrong time, and they just, did a shabby job of investigating. And, Leroy, Lakeisha, Jamal, old Max is a good boy. Please. It continues. See, for years in Wisconsin, selecting a jury has meant assembling a panel derived from state driver's license data sets. We just heard about some of them niggers at the apartment fire couldn't even leave with their driver's identification and such. Maybe even things we lost in the fire. I miss Seattle. That's a movie about Seattle. See what I did? Okay. The summonses are drawn from the estimated 4.3 million people who, according to state transportation records, were registered to drive motor vehicles in Wisconsin. Now, they don't even just say Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we get Kenosha and all these other old outlying places where they have more white people. They didn't even say Milwaukee County. No. Wisconsin. Just 22% of 18-year-old black men in the county have a driver's license. Now, what the F? They didn't even say all Negroes. They said 22% of Leroy, 18-year-old black men in the county, have a driver's license. What? Is it that hard to get a driver's license? I thought you'll get a driver's license at 16, 17. What? Black. I would expect something like that. Where did I start this? Where are we at? Hell. And especially, it's not unilateral hell. It's especially hell for black females. That doesn't ease up too much on the Sades, but ooh-wee, you come down here as a nigga male. Whew. You lucky if we let you get a scooter, Leroy. You stay on your P's and Q's. Can I get a driver's license? You stay on your P's and Q's. I got to walk everywhere. You stay on your P's and Q's. They don't have the best public transportation in Milwaukee. Like, man, good God. Let me see. Anything, I feel like I read enough of anything else. Let's see. They only got compared with 31% of white men same age got a driver's license, of course. 47% of black adults in Wisconsin in 2005, its most recent citation, held valid driver's licenses compared with 73% of white adults that year. What now? You're telling me at this late date with all the technology and everything else, you could probably they could probably set it up so that you can fill out the application, get a driver's license on your phone. They could hook up some TikTok campaigns and all of that. Are you telling me you all can't even get a nigger male a driver's license, and that's why we got 80% white people on the jury for Sade Robinson? Niggas won't learn how to drive correctly in Milwaukee? Come on, man. It does not get any better than tacky. Extra tacky in Milwaukee, a.k.a. hell. Now, back to the trial. And again, that should be at the forefront. The jury is 80% white. 80% white. And 10 of the 15 are white women. I was even focused on, man, they did a good job keeping white men out. Nah, man, it's 12% white. Forget them white chicks, too. It should be about 8 black people on that jury. Maybe 5 max white people. 5 max. Anything over that, like, whoa. It ain't even that many white people in Milwaukee. Slow down. We were in Madison. We were in Sheboygan. Something else. Not Milwaukee County. Any hoodles. So, we come back to day 3. In fact, even before I get to day 3, one more rewind just for yesterday, day 2. Now, day 2, we got body camera footage, as I talked about yesterday on the broadcast, and it showed Warnemont Park, April 2nd, when the officers first located the severed leg of Sade Robinson on the beach. This was, obviously really traumatic for lots of people in the courtroom. People were still talking about this today and saying it just bothered them so much. Some people had to leave the courtroom once they showed all this yesterday. Other individuals said it bothered them throughout the evening, messed up their ability to sleep last night because they just couldn't get that image and all that away from them. Even one of the folks in the courtroom was talking about, man, well, I don't know, but many of you will grasp that often parents, when they have a newborn, especially a small child, they will play with the child, tickle their feet and all that. And to now be a parent and see your child's leg severed, and they zoomed in on the pink toenail polish yesterday, just, man, traumatic for lots of folks. And they were still talking about all that this morning for many obvious reasons. And one more, just recapping from yesterday, they showed lots of video from down on the waterfront. They showed video from the night before, the night before April 2nd, like 4 a.m. April 2nd, before the leg was discovered later that day. They showed video that showed a figure. Now, it's really dark, so you can't make out who the person is, but a figure moving down on the beach. Some of the people in the courtroom said, man, he was down there. I think the records showed that this person was down there for a long time. What are they doing down there? Why would they be? And I say for a long time, like an hour. What are you doing down there for an hour? It's pitch black dark. It's muddy. It's dangerous. It's windy. It's cold. It's like 40 degrees, raining. The tide and surf is blowing up with some force and spraying more water. And there's big boulders like you could fall, stumble, all of that. What are you doing down here for all of this time? And some of the folks theorized that, oh man, we think Max Anderson, if that's what the video showed it to be him, we think that's where he carried out the dismembering and slaughtering and divvying up some of these body parts and/or in the vehicle, and he spent some of that time down on the beach divvying up these body parts and lugging and all the rest of that. That's why it took so much time to be down there and to break the gate, get the car closer to where all this is happening. Could be that was something that was theorized in court this morning. Now, moving forward to testimony from today, day 3 in the murder trial. I guess I'll give out the number of folks that have thoughts. 720-716-7300, the code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Now, we get to testimony today. I'm not going to go through every single person who testified because there were a lot of folks today. I'm trying to pick out highlights because, wow, it was a lot of important details today. So one of the first people that we heard this morning, Evelyn Gertz, Geurts, white woman, classified herself as one of Sade Robinson's friends. They worked together. White friend, one of the worst combinations in the known universe. She talked about how they, hung out, spent time together. She was really traumatized by all of this and finding out that Sade was missing last year. Talked about some of the apps and such that they shared. Find My iPhone, where she was trying to look for details to see where Sade Robinson, her phone last pinged, and sharing that information with enforcement officials and all the rest of it. On cross-examination, the defense attorney, Anthony Cotton, he asked Miss Gertz, who's pretty young, same age as Sade Robinson, I think maybe a little year or two older, but he asked her, he said, did you help her construct dating apps, Tinder, and I think he named one more. She said yes. And that's when I went back to, again, when you don't understand what it means to be white, we are not friends. I mean, now maybe this white person, maybe Evelyn Gertz, they were engaged in constructive activity. Let me help you if you need to find a house, a residence, an apartment. Let me help you get some scholarships so you can knock that tuition down. Maybe. But I do not need my white friends getting me on no dating app or what have you, especially if that's going to be me hooking up with some white people, more white, so I can get more white friends. Like, no. we do not need any of that. All we need is replace white supremacy with justice and information to get us focused on doing that, and quickly. Also, I keep coming back. We do not understand white supremacy, racism, and because of that, it just, man, we make poor choices as it relates to our contact with white people, and all the time, many age groups, constant, and even the dating, because a lot of this is about first date. That's how they label this on many outlets. First date trial, murder trial. Non-white people, we have greater priorities than dating, and that's for every age group, 8 to 80. What they say, 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. We have substantially higher priorities than dating. You say, well, hey, that's young people. You old fogey. Shut up. Gus T, you got the gout, eat your prunes and shut up and sit down. Young people, especially young, attractive people, you old, ugly, fogey you, young, attractive folks, virile, they want to get out and have a good time and meet other young, attractive folks. Go out and do fun things and have great memories and all that. All of that would be wonderful. Nothing incorrect about that at all. If we were not on the plantation. We are. A lot of this just boils down to time and energy. And some of this, I would even say, maturity. We don't have proper maturity in a system of white supremacy even to date correctly, whatever that means. Especially if the dating involves white people. Like, oh my God, shut all that down. Study. You don't have time to date? Study. That's non-white people like Dr. Welsing. Hey, you are 19, 20, 21, 22. Oh my God, you are ignorant about so much. As is Gus T, and I'm not nowhere close to no 19, but still ignorant. We got far greater priorities than dating as victims of white supremacy. Now, if you're 19, 20, you're classified as white, not a victim of racism, have at it. Go out there and get that Tinder cracking. But us as victims? No. And because we are so poor at so-called dating, you see all the problems that erupt, and then we sit around blaming Leroy ain't doing right. Leroy lost a job, and I got pregnant, and all of it. All of that is the context of it. Is not keep your skirt down, and we're not going to do it. System of white supremacy really messes up dating. Can I get an amen? Okay. Let's see. This is not the next witness to testify. This is just the next witness that I am emphasizing. I'm not talking about every witness today. We did hear a lot of witnesses today. Alana Fisher, black female. She says she is Sade's best friend, and that they had been friends for approximately 20 years. Like, gee whiz, like almost their entire lives. Went to kindergarten together. Like, gee whiz, how many folks have someone like that? But Miss Fisher, she looked so, what's that word again? Traumatized. It just, man, you talk about so many of these folks who got on the witness stand today. Not Evelyn Gertz, who I just mentioned, also a young person, but so many of the folks that I'm going to mention, future witnesses, these are folks who are polished. You know, some of them, they've been coming to court and testifying for 20 years. So they know, if you know about enforcement officers, hey, I've been trained how to lie on the witness stand. At minimum, I have been trained and have lots of experience about how to present and to make sure you make eye contact with the jury and speak into the mic and project your voice, and lots of self-respect so that you come across as a competent, informed, credible witness. It's obvious, at least for me, the people where they have been trained in that manner and the people who have not. And they're just, oh my God, this is the last place I want to be. And incidentally, those people who are polished and trained to testify, they are often paid. I might even say always paid for their time on the witness stand. So that also might make an enormous difference in how you feel about all this, where you're up there. How many nickels? Y'all got any more questions? Oh, feel free. Take your time. I'm going to think about some of my answers too. What's your name? Let me think. Let's see. My name is, let me look at my watch here. Let's see if I can get me. Can you repeat the question, please? I had to think. Yes. We have to repeat all the questions because I'm on the clock, you see. Would greatly change my voice and everything, as opposed to I'm here and I'm not getting paid. And I got to talk about my friend. And because I'm not trained or accustomed to all of this, I don't get no practice in all this testifying publicly and on TV, since this is being live streamed. So now I'm every quack and whatever on YouTube and everywhere else can watch this forever and blame me if the trial doesn't work out correctly. Like, man, whew. She, and to be so young too, and to be classified as black, it just seemed, man, she did not want to be on the witness stand for so many reasons, and I can feel her. I do so appreciate she took her time. What I just said, like if you have to say, hey, could you repeat the question? I didn't hear it. I just asked, what's your name? Can you repeat the question? I got to get it together, man. Take me some practice to get warmed up to say Gus correctly. She took her time. If she needed them to repeat something, she asked. She didn't try and get up there and guess and pretend she knew something. And they're asking people to talk about something from a year ago, so lots of people had to confess. That happened a year ago, over a year at this point, 13 months ago. I don't remember. You're adding, particularly, they're starting to ask about specific, very specific, like, what did you do at 4 p.m. on April 2nd, 2024? Like, oh my God, like, I don't remember what I did this year on April 2nd at 4 p.m. Jeez. But Miss Fisher, she told them when she remembered things and when she didn't and all the rest of it. She took her time, and she looked so thankful when she could get down from there. She gave Miss Scarborough a big hug and got out of. She had her parents there too for support, which I was glad to see. Both of her parents there to support her. But the one thing, or I guess another thing that I appreciated about Miss Fisher's testimony, I think one of the big reasons that they had her there to testify is because of the phone information. And that's the same thing with Evelyn Gertz, that because they were buddies with young Sade, Sade had shared Life 360 and Find My iPhone with her female friends here. So just in case something goes bad or whatever, bang, you all can track and see exactly where my iPhone is. Whew. She had such precise data on her phone, and she sent screenshots to the police once she found out last year that, Sade's missing. Oh, she went right to that Life 360 and started digging, taking screenshots. This is the last locations of the phone. Boop, 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 and sent all that info immediately to enforcement officers. That info, when I say precise, like, oh man, it will show, okay, Sade took trip from 455 to 501. This is her start point with an exact address. This was the end point with an exact address. This was the speed of travel. This was the route that she took. This is the maximum speed. I mean, just super precise detail. Ping, ping, ping. And she had that for like the whole night up until her phone died. Like exact locations, exact trips, the times of the trips, when the phone just stalled and sat in a location, when the phone was being used, when the battery started going down. Like, I didn't even know that they, had apps that would store all this information, and then you could link your phone where somebody else could have access to all that information. Like, wow. Man, some of it, she didn't have to remember anything. She didn't have to, nothing. All it was, can you read the screenshot that you took from last year? You sent that? That's your phone? Okay. Read all of the date, time, and they put that up on the check. Like, woo. When they start going, if they do any sort of overlap, that good old Max, white dude, defendant Max Anderson, you were in some of these locations at the same time, or y'all were together at these times. Ooh. Oh, because it's so precise. It's no debate. Yep, phone was there. Yep, that's her phone. Yep. Here, you got any connection to these addresses? Eep. Wow, I would maybe say everybody. If you have children, you gonna have one of these goofy phones, Life 360. Hopefully you'll never need to use it, or at minimum, it's just a lost thing. Bang, you can go find them, retrieve them quickly, and that'll be that. But mandatory Life 360, Find My iPhone. I think they had both of them, and same type of thing with lots of details, and I'll give you a map of where they happen to be and all that good stuff. But perhaps that should be mandatory, especially if you got children, young people, and you're concerned about them getting one of those apps. Let's see. Okay. Now, this was not the most important bit of information, but it is important. I cannot emphasize enough, Sade Robinson victim, all of us, myself, I'm not aware of any non-white people who are experts on racism, so we are all still learning about the best way to deal with individuals classified as white. and to get to where we can make better decisions so that white people do not continue to terrorize, abuse, even kill us in many, many situations all over the world. Now, about midway through the morning, we took a break. Jury was excused. Before the jury comes back, they have a sidebar. Now, normally what they would do, if people who've seen trials and such, they do a sidebar. The jury would still be there, and they would just, the attorneys, defense and prosecution, they would walk off to the side of the judge's bench, talk quietly, and then they would come back after whatever the situation has been hashed out, agreed upon, and move forward with the trial. If the jury is excused, they don't do that. If the jury is excused, they'll just publicly have the sidebar so the people that are in attendance can hear too. So they have a public sidebar because the jury's excused this morning. And this happened a few times in the trial already. So the sidebar is the prosecution requesting that certain evidence from the search of Sade's home, once they have a search warrant, she's missing, and we think it might be something nefarious, so let's go do a full-fledged search of her residence. Once they go to do this, they say, hey, the detectives, they found 47 methamphetamine pills and THC. And they're asking that this not be disclosed. It'll just besmirch her and all the rest of it. The defense says, hey, they found it in the search. If this had been found in the defendant's residence, you all certainly would want to disclose. There'd be no way that you wouldn't let the information be revealed. So no way. He says, I don't plan to harp on it or what have you, but I do plan to offer it. And this could be a reasonable alternative explanation that Max Anderson is innocent, that Sade Robinson was killed as a result of some sort of drug activity. My jaw hits the floor. Like, what? 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 Anyway, the judge decides, should be disclosure. They found it in the search warrant, and if they had found it in Max Anderson's house, we certainly would, hear about all that. So, yep, you can bring it up if they found it. What in the world? My mind immediately upon hearing all this, now one, this is why go to the trial, so you can get all of the information, get it yourself. You want to learn about this, sit and get it all. Two, my mind drifted back. Now, when I was still in Seattle, we had Natea Taylor as a guest on the program about her film, Something in the Water, talking about Milwaukee and their whole history. On that program, like all the programs, I said sobriety would be best. I spoke. Miss Scarborough, Sade's mother, she listened to that program in its entirety, and we spoke later. And I said, I always encourage black people, non-white people, sobriety would be best. I say that every program. And she stopped. She said, oh, yeah, I did hear you say that when Miss Taylor was on the program. I said, that was not a one-time thing. I say that all the time. The record is undeniable. A part of white people dominating us has been their strategic employment of narcotics. Wide variety of them. They have none of it. Liquor, cannabis, crack, fentanyl, none of that stuff has been our friend. None of that stuff has helped get us closer to universal man, universal woman, or even a better grasp of what it means to be classified as white. None on all accounts. I was explaining this to Miss Scarborough just some days back, really, because we just had Miss Taylor on the program not that long ago, last 30 days. So that came to mind, and even within this case, because I was saying, man, if young Sade, 19, still learning, right? Just graduated high school. But if she, that goofy thing Gus been saying, sobriety would be best, I think I'm going to try that on. Yeah, I'll give that a try. maybe we're not even at this trial because Sade is still with us. There is no first date, or at minimum, ain't no first date at no Twisted Fisherman bar. You go out, sit someplace quiet. Water that you have in Swango, so I keep an eye on you and be sober in my right thinking mind and process. See if you got anything sensible to say to me, worth my time and energy. See? Just maybe. And again, no blame on young Sade Robinson at all. There's one person to blame in all of this, and hopefully he will be found guilty shortly. But I am saying, same thing I mentioned James Byrd Jr. And I said, remember James Byrd Jr. in Jasper, Texas, where he had been out drinking? And what I just said, our homies, his white friends drove by and said, hey, James, you been drinking? You been drinking Thunderbird? Oh, man, hop on in. We'll give you a ride, James. We'll give you a ride. And they dragged him to death, dumped his body in the Negro cemetery, and urinated on him. Now, 2 of them got the death penalty. His white friends. But that's another case where I said, hey, maybe James Byrd Jr., he'd still be with us. Sobriety would be best. I don't need no ride from my white friends because I'm drinking water. I'm sober. I could drive if I want to. I don't have to walk. I'm sober. Sobriety would be best. It ain't going to be you coming up with no cockamamie scheme to say that Max didn't do this. I'm a good boy. Max didn't do this. You know, she got that old aggressive meth habit. You know, this was a drug deal gone bad. Maybe she didn't pay for all those 47 pills. You know, people get upset about stolen narcotics. They got to come back and see they do those old gruesome crimes. Remember they talked about that in O.J. Simpson. See? Nah. Ain't gonna be no cockamamie room for none of that because sobriety would be best. Not gonna slip no, and for reals, I wouldn't even want to buy no meth or nothing really, PCP, nothing in Milwaukee. I wouldn't even want a cigarette in Milwaukee. Like, oh man, you can't even drink the water in Milwaukee. That's all the narcotic you need right there. You need to snort some. Go take a sip out that sink right there. You will be seeing stars and butterflies and everything. You get a whole new perspective on the world. Get a teaspoon of that lead in your body. Sobriety would be best. And we in the Brewer City. I keep saying they just got taverns in Milwaukee. Say, what you seeing in Milwaukee, Gus? Taverns. Bars and taverns. That's all this case is about. What bars did y'all go to on the first date? Twisted Fisherman and Dukes? Bars and taverns, and hope Jeff Dahmer isn't there to swangle my drink and chop me up and toss me in Lake Michigan. In hell, folks. We in hell. Anyway, and that's another one where I would have to say that sobriety is the same thing that I said about dating. It's not about morality. It's not that we all need to be in Sunday school and no, you can't have a beer. We need to be sweet. And no. Jeff Dahmer is on the corner. Now, we could get the Thunderbird. We could get the lychee pear margarita. We could do all that. Now, is that going to help me think better? Neutralize Jeff Dahmer on the corner? That's going to help me escape Milwaukee when I get my DUI and they take me down to Milwaukee County Courthouse and they got an 80% white jury? You get a sip of this Jack Daniels right quick. I'm going to go in it, man. We going to convince these folks, going to get me out of here right quick today. Let me get liquored up. I know how to talk to the white man. That's what's going to happen? Come on. Sobriety would be best. And white people, they have done a job on us. We are so, and I mean all of us. I'm not talking about nobody in Milwaukee. I'm talking about all the non-white people in the known universe. White people have done a job on us. We make really poor decisions because we do not grasp the context of the planet, the universe in which we live. What's the context? White supremacy and the global system of white supremacy. That's why, no, you can't be drunk out your mind. No, you can't be on all these narcotics. No. You need high functioning brain computer. White people in already, they got narcotics for you. Just go test you. Probably already got some crystal meth in your water. Test your water first. You might not need to get nothing off the corner. Test your water first. Let's see. So Detective Kayla Bajork did eventually testify that she did indeed discover those 47 methamphetamine pills and THC in a locked safe in Sade's residence in open courts. Everybody heard this. And I have to look to see. Now, was this the lead for day 3? Did people think this was the biggest reveal in the trial for the day? Next, again, not next in order of testimony, but where I'm focusing, Alexis Kruzik. Now, this white female officer, she is a detective, Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department with 9 years of experience, also on the bomb squad, and they asked her to kind of investigate the vehicle, what she saw, what her opinion was about what happened, the contents of the vehicle. This was kind of dramatic because they went through the burned vehicle. Anderson, in addition to the homicide charges and dismemberment charges, hiding a corpse, he's also facing a charge of arson for burning this vehicle of Sade Robinson's, her blue Honda Civic. So Alexis Kruzik, white woman, she testifies about the contents in the trunk of the vehicle, which didn't burn up. There was some fire damage, but not too much. You could still retrieve all of the contents of the trunk of the vehicle. And they pulled out, and it was Sade Robinson's clothing. And they had already put up pictures of the clothing that she was wearing on April 1st when she was last seen alive. And it was black jacket, her jeans, shoes. And so they dramatically pulled all of these items out and showed them to everyone in the courtroom. And the people that knew her, I mean, you could hear the impact. I mean, it's not quite as impactful as yesterday with the severed limb, but the people who might have even seen her wearing some of these clothes, I think her purse was there as well to pull all of this stuff back out and be able to see it, and even to kind of connect with the jury, like this was an intentionally set fire, arson, to deliberately store these clothes as well. And they said they found a shovel in the back of the trunk as well. I'm super curious about that. Was that Sade Robinson's shovel? Did they find any evidence on the shovel? Did they think that was a part of what was used in the dismemberment and moving around all these body parts and such? Hopefully we'll hear more about that as we proceed as well. Let's see. In my opinion, the best witness of the day, on a day that had many witnesses, the best witness of the day, Ricky Jenkins, white man, excuse me, not Ricky Jenkins, Ricky Henkins, Henkins, 24 years experience. That's what I mean. When you got somebody like him, hey, man, I've been testifying in a court of law longer than Alina Fisher has been alive, longer than Sade Robinson has been alive. I've been testifying in a court of law, so I should sound amazing, competent, informed, polished at doing this. And he did. Now, what did he speak to specifically? This is one of these expert white witnesses where I investigate fires. That's what I've done for a quarter century. How did they set this on fire? What was the cause? Where did the fire start? All of that. That's what I do. Mr. Hinkins, he says he does an origin and cause investigation of the fire. He says, okay. They say, what are the three major components when you do your origin and cause investigation? He says, well, the three major causes, the liquid used for this case specifically, the liquid, he says, there's clear petroleum distillate that was used in this fire to accelerate, get this blaze going, get this arson going. He says, so liquid use. Witness statements, there were witnesses who said that they saw a white man set this car on fire, that they watched him, saw the car blaze, saw him walk away. He said, so that's two. And he said then the fact that the driver, Sade Robinson, she was missing at the time when they found all this, and then ultimately deceased when they found all this. So these factors would influence how he would make a determination about what happened here, what he thinks was the cause, and all that with this fire. Now, words, I keep saying that, man, we're in a court of law, words. There were so many, especially with this witness, where the defense, when he got Ricky Hinkins, almost a quarter century of experience ATF, he says he's going back and forth about what was used to set this fire. And he says, well, you said that they used, paint thinner or one of these. He says, I did not. And this happened a few times. He said, nope, you are not accurately restating what I said. And Ricky Hinkins would stop him immediately. This is what I said. This happened like a number of times. This happened with the positioning of the chair in the vehicle, which was so important because there's such a massive height difference between Sade Robinson, who's close to 5 feet, and Maxwell Anderson, who's about 6'1". And they looked at the positioning of the driver's seat in the blue Honda, because the prosecution is suggesting that Max Anderson was driving this vehicle, not Sade Robinson, especially the morning leading up to the arson. And so they measure the distance from the pedal to the seat. And they explain how they did this scientifically. And then they go get the same car and they measure, they put the seat at the same distance. And then they go get a female who's Sade Robinson's height. And then they go get a male who's Max Anderson's height. And they go put them in the car and they take pictures. Oh, man. The young lady who's Sade Robinson's height can't reach the pedals at all. Arms are way out to try and grab the steering wheel. It looks like it'd be totally impossible for her to drive this car, Sade Robinson, where the seat was. Max Anderson, the person who was his height, 6'1", perfect fit. Feet hit the pedals, can grab the steering wheel, all of that. Perfect. So I go back to Ricky Hinkins, ATF, 25 years experience. The defense, Anthony Cotton, defense attorney, white man, says, well, you don't know that the seat wasn't moved, and they could have been in it. Stop. Ricky Hinkins, I do know that the seat had not been moved by the fire department or anybody. He says, well, how do you know? Let me explain. I told you I got 25 years experience. Let me learn you. I know the seat wasn't moved because you would have a protected space. If the fire happened, the seat's in this position, and then you move it up after you put the fire out, you would be able to see. There's no burn evidence, debris in this area because the seat was previously here. Now it's been moved. You don't see that, or even evidence that there's a trail of debris for the none of that. None of that. The seat was not moved, and he even demonstrated how you would find evidence of it had been moved. Like, ooh, stopped cold. Don't even go there. Seat hasn't been moved. That's where it was. And if it was in that position, Sade Robinson likely would not have been able to operate that vehicle. Brilliant. He was brilliant all the way through, just in how he was so precise, scientific, and making sure, I will say, explain it to me like I'm 6. He did every time. When he said petroleum distillate, let me explain to you what that is. And we have different ways of classifying and all of that. Brilliant. Took his time, spoke to exactly what evidence that he had examined and could speak to, didn't go beyond that, stayed firm on what he said, and made sure you're not going to twist around and make up and chat. No. I am confident, and this is exactly what I said. Don't change it. Brilliant. Witness of the day, Ricky Hinkins. Let's see. Next, they recalled Detective Joanne Donner. She had testified, I believe, Monday. It's not Monday. Was it Tuesday? I guess it couldn't have been Tuesday because they did opening statements. So she probably testified yesterday. Yeah, would have to be yesterday. Joanne Donner, white woman, detective, she comes back to testify that they did an experiment. She was the one that did the experiment about the seat to measure it and get people in, because she said she's about the same size as Sade Robinson. And she said, I don't think I'd be able to drive this vehicle. So when they went out and got another car, exact same model as Sade Robinson's blue Honda Civic, there you go. Results and all of that to show we think Max Anderson was probably driving this car after he had killed, dismembered Sade Robinson. Now he's going to drive her car around, do the drop off of the body parts, and then go set it on fire. So that's Detective Joanne Donner. Next witness, Casey Donahue. Now this is also white man. They've had a lot of black witnesses as well, but this is a white man, enforcement officer, detective with the Milwaukee Police Department. He's been on the job for about 4 years in this capacity. So he had a lot of surveillance video. I think that was his job, to get surveillance video from the different residence houses surrounding where this fire took place at. And incidentally, this fire happened behind an abandoned building that has since been torn down. But this abandoned building is this area is known, or was known, as a dumping area where people would just go and throw trash and used furniture and whatever. Incidentally, they said they had a number of illegal car fires in this area, both before the Sade Robinson murder and subsequently, and that this area is, of course, where are we at? Hell. So all of this is in the Negra part of town. He said, dang, you think Brother Max, he went and did all this and then dumped the car where the Negras live to try and blame this on them? Yup. Anyway, so, man, what a way to rap. Like, woo. Even, I think, like, the way that the prosecution did, like, to kind of structure the way that they're presenting evidence, because there's so much more to go. They still got toxicology and all that. They still got body parts that were found in other areas, so there might even be more of that called as they, are finding more information. But getting all of the evidence about the fire, if you can put forth strong evidence, I think, if you can put forth strong evidence that Max Anderson, yes, the evidence shows he set this car on fire. Oh, man, even if you don't have the strongest evidence for the rest of it, everybody who's testified thus far said, man, that fire is suspicious. This is the sort of thing that you do to conceal evidence. This is connected to that murder and dismemberment and all the rest of it. If you think he did this, why would he do that? Even you don't need a motive, but why would he come and set this car on fire, her car on fire, and dump it where the Negras live? Why would you do that? What are you trying to hide? Now, they start getting all the video footage from surrounding areas, and I mean, they're getting like video cameras off of a roof that's like 2 houses over and all this, that now they got HD video that actually does pick up somebody who's walking like 2 houses over and all that. Like, man, if you're going to commit a crime or something in this day and age, Jesus Christ, like, do it at night. I don't want to make it like I'm telling people how to commit crimes, but wow, so many people have cameras on everything now, and door cameras and all the rest of it. They said that in the trial, like, man, they picked up video of the car driving. They got in so close that you can see that Sade Robinson's car. It's got all the damage, the same damage we've already noted. The window, passenger side window has been broken. It's just hanging. You can see that there, and the lights from the same. Some of them I think had license plate readers on them, so they could pick up the plate that bing, that's Sade Robinson's car, and all the rest of it. Like, woo! They show the car driving around. They say, okay, the car is going around, going up the alley. This is where the car was found burned, so you can see the car pulling into the area. Boop. Now, you can't exactly see the car burning on the video. They don't have any cameras showing the car burning. But next closest thing, you see the car going into the area where it was burned, and then you see people, two black people, walking up the sidewalk. And they point out where the car is on fire, and they say that from the sidewalk, as you walk up, you would be able to see this car burning if you continue up the sidewalk, even though it's not visible on the camera. These two black people, and I believe they're going to testify later on, maybe tomorrow, they walk up the sidewalk, and you can see this color video. You can see it. They turn and point. Shock. Pointing. Oh, my God. What is that? And this has audio. Oh, man. Anthony Cotton, white defense lawyer. That brother objected it. Whoa. I object. Y'all are throwing these pronouns around and misgendering folks, and you don't know that's a dude. You stop saying he right now. You tell him, Judge Crivello, you tell him to stop saying he. It's sustained. Stop saying he, because you can't see if it's a he. Okay. They cranked that video up with the audio. They've already seen blue Honda Civic goes around, parks in the area where they said it was found on fire. Those two black people get to walking up that sidewalk, and they turn. You go, oh my God, what is? Oh, do you see? Oh my God! And they yell out, he did it! He did it! They're pointing. You can see figure walking down the sidewalk, and they say crosses the street, and they come back and yell, get the fire department, get the ambulance, it's on fire, he did it. And they said, what did he say? This is Casey Donahue Whiteman. What did he say? He did it. We ain't hear no more objections. Ain't no more misgendering. Now, they just went to the other videos. Once he crossed the street, now he's not in the vehicle, so we can get a better look. Who is this? Who do we think is the driver here? The person that they said he did it, meaning set the car on fire. They get these other videos and just track this person, fella, walking. You can see the backpack. I said, I've seen this backpack before. Where have I seen this backpack? Oh, this is in the search warrant. Now, I guess if you haven't followed this case, you haven't seen it. But if you've seen the search warrant, that backpack is in the search warrant, and crispy HD video footage of that backpack on Max Anderson's shoulders. Eep. They kept showing that video, and now you can just watch the figure walking. They zoomed in. Look at those shoes there. You can see the white soles on them, and this is a dude. This is not a female. They even did my favorite racial classification. Can you see the skin? Yep. White dude. Looks to be taller, bigger fella. And they looked over at Max, 6'1". Like, oh, Lord. Ooh. And they got another one. They just keep showing him walking down the street. Same shoes, dark pants on. I said, man, wait till they break that video out and show when he gets on the bus, and he's got the exact same backpack, exact same clothes. Ooh, and you can get a great close-up look of his face. That's you. That right, like I said, and if you had 8 black people on the jury and they got common sense, word that they used a lot in the opening statements, the prosecution, it should be no coming back from that. Like, I would be thinking at minimum, we should have pled guilty to, we should have took a plea deal on the arson, because I think they're going to have us cold on that one. Now, the problem, like I said, is if you got him on the arson, you probably got him on all this, because, like, why would you set this car on fire? This has got to be connected to Sade Robinson being dismembered and killed and all the rest of it. Why would you set this car on fire? How did you even get access to the car? What were you even doing there? If you didn't do it, what were you doing there? You don't live here. This is nowhere near your residence. And it's at 7 o'clock in the morning on April 2nd. Is this some kind of late April Fool's joke? What are you doing here if this ain't you? In the Nigra part of town. Anyway, it was a doozy of a day, and they got lots more video for it was like everybody was leaned forward, myself included, like, ooh, look at that, because they had the pointer out, like, following the person, like, can you see him? And then they started to zoom in, like, wow, it was fascinating. Those would be most of the major tidbits that stood out. I have no idea how the first week of testimony will conclude. The prosecution has 250 witnesses approximately on their list, although they are not going to call them all. I think yesterday they called approximately 12 witnesses. It was, I think, around the same number of witnesses today. So I'd say at least at this point, we've heard approximately 25 to 30 witnesses over the past 2 days, basically. Opening statements, like I said, were on Wednesday. So we had opening statements, a little bit of testimony, and then we got right to it, right to witnesses first thing this morning. So I have no idea how many witnesses they're going to call, if it's going to be 100, 150 or so. At the rate that we're going, the prosecution could easily be doing their case into next week, still calling witnesses, end of next week or middle of next week, somewhere in there. And the defense doesn't even have that many witnesses, so they might be able to do all theirs in one day. So most of this trial, I suspect, will be the prosecution and more video. I know there's lots more video footage to come, and I think we will have even more damning video footage because they've not shown any of the video footage of the so-called date where they were out at these bars. We've not seen any of that to see if she had alcohol or whatever else in those facilities. We haven't seen any of the video footage that's around Max Anderson's residence. I think they have some of that. Might even be some cell phone video from inside his residence as well. So there's lots more evidence, period, and then lots more specifically video evidence to come. Looking forward. It has been just a robust learning experience for these few days, even though I cannot emphasize enough, it sucks being in Milwaukee. But I'd also have to say, like, man, this trial, this is a part of why Milwaukee sucks. This right here, and I was telling Miss Scarborough before I got here, to have lots of black people piled up. And that's what they brag about Milwaukee, hyper segregation. I mean, you get lots of black people and you pile them up in the worst areas with no grocery stores, no food, liquor stores and bars everywhere, and cigarettes. And I mean, just no, bad water, poisoned water. You don't have fresh fruits, vegetables. You don't even have soap at the school for the children. I mean, it's just the worst of everything. And the police corruption, oh my God. We ain't even got to get to, we don't allow no niggers on the jury. The police corruption and all the rest of it. In an environment like that, it is so easy to target and terrorize black people. Who cares? Nobody's going to defend them, and the city is lame anyway, and there's no white people here anyway. We don't care. We hope the niggers leave or die or whatever so we can take the city back over. But man, it is easy to just pile up vulnerable black people in an area, and Jeff Dahmer, the Milwaukee Strangler, Max Anderson can just go to town on them, and nobody even cares. Who would even report? In fact, now you all have seen. Now, how many people clueless about Sade Robinson, never heard of this case, didn't follow it? Maybe they started paying more attention now that we're at the trial, but I mean, they had a whole year. You super duper late, right? How many people ain't pay attention to none of this? Don't know nothing about this, much less the lead problem or nothing else. Samuel Sharp getting gunned down at the Republican National Convention. We forgot about that. That's ancient history. Moved on. We got other things to talk about. Cannot say it enough, man. Danger. And then you combine the danger of a place like Milwaukee with the fact that we non-white people, we are so confused about what it means to be classified as white, and confused about white supremacy, racism in general. got to have our white friends and all the rest of it. That's why Jeff Dahmer and all the rest of it, he was doing the same thing. Go out to the taverns. I'm taking the Jeff Dahmer tour while I'm here. Lame Milwaukee, I'm going to do the tour, but doing the same thing. I can go and get non-white people who are ignorant about racism. I get a drink or two in them. Swango them up too, but I get a drink or two in them. I was going to say it's like taking candy from a baby, but might be easier. Worthy of great pity. Any hoodles. Double check, see if folks have thoughts, if they've been keeping up with the trial or what have you. Let's see. Z's my old man, and she's got a teen daughter. Man, I could cry, but this sort of thing, if I had a teen daughter, I would have to. Even if I had a teen son, because it could be the other way around easily. I would have to talk to them about this case. There is no way. All of it. The drinking, white friends, bars, all the drugs, all of it. I would have to talk to my teenage black child. This is why I nag. This is why we harp about racism, dating white people, white friends, all of it. All it takes is one. This was her first date. Last date. I don't mean first date in general, but first date with Max Anderson. And that's all it took. Sometimes one bad date is all it takes. What does it mean to be white? We do not understand. Let's see. Z's mommy. Have you talked with young Z about Sade C. Robinson?
Greetings. Yes, I've talked to her about it, not in as much detail as I feel like I should have. But I discussed the case with her about her meeting. But this was quite a while ago. I think when it first happened in, was it March or April of last year? But it's definitely something I need to bring up again, especially now I'm actually hearing all the details of the case.
Bravo, bravo. Do you have any other thoughts, Z's mommy?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. I know you brought up how they have found like THC and methamphetamine in her safe that was locked, and I was just wondering does it seem like the defense is kind of attempting to construct any like alternative theories or timelines as to like what could have occurred or who would have killed her if it wasn't Maxwell Anderson, or are they just basing their whole case off of any reasonable doubt is enough to find him not guilty?
Both. Reasonable doubt was a phrase he highly emphasized during his opening arguments, opening statements on yesterday. And then in the 2 days, or 3 days, I said it correctly the first time. In the 2 days since, it has been starting with, so Warner Park is one of the locations, and the first location where they started finding her body parts. That's yesterday when they showed the video footage of them finding her severed leg, was at Warner Park, which is like south part of Milwaukee County. I think it's technically Cudahy, which is not Milwaukee City technically, but still Milwaukee County. So when they found the leg, he started with the, hey, this is a popular park, and lots of people come through this park, and this park actually connects to a number of other parks, and they have relay races. So I mean, hey, you got, all these people come here. Who's to say Max is the one who did all this? We don't know. They found a set of gloves on the same beach further south from where they recovered the leg. Now, it had no DNA evidence to Sade Robinson or Maxwell Anderson, so they don't know if it was involved in this case or just totally something else. I mean, it says, hey, those gloves, that right there, that could have been somebody else. And he emphasized that, hey, you could walk, all the way up the beach. Who's to say it was this Max Anderson figure? It could have been somebody else who walked in. With the drugs that were brought up today, now he said that in the public sidebar, which I guess is, because it was on record, so I guess that would be on TV, where he said, yeah, hey, who's to say it wasn't a drug deal gone bad? I mean, methamphetamine is illegal. This is a street drug. Where did she get it from? Who's to say? It could have been her dealer who came and did all this. Same thing with the THC. I guess cannabis, they don't have recreational cannabis in Wisconsin. So same thing, street drug. Where did she get this from? This could have been a street deal. Although I have never heard of someone being dismembered and killed for like a joint, but whatever. Because they didn't say she had like 50 pounds of weed. So whatever. But yeah, so he continued with that there. And just at and this is probably going to continue, because I had talked to Sade's mom, Miss Scarborough, about, they had a report in the local newspaper here about all of these officers who had lied and what I'd say untrustworthy, corrupt, and had made up testimony to get people convicted. They had a list, it's called the Brady list, of officers who had had credibility problems. Either they had been accused of lying or maybe even found guilty of lying to lock up defendants and such before. 2 of the officers on this list, called the Brady lists, credibility officers with credibility issues, 2 of the officers on this so-called Brady list are on the prosecution's list of potential witnesses. Now, whoa, I told her, like, this is the sort of thing like, Jesus Christ. Like, woo, that's the sort of thing throughout the whole trial. Like, hey, these guys aren't even trustworthy. Like, they got people on the case who, they made up evidence and all the rest of it. So that's what I expect the whole way through. It's already been some of that, and that especially if they do have, which I suspect they do, more evidence that's going to continue to strongly link Maxwell Anderson. He was there, they were together, same exact geographic locations and all the rest of it. He was with her, and anything else that, if they have strong evidence that suggests he did this, oh yeah, it's going to be all kinds of wacky theories. Yes, drug dealers, some other drug dealers did. And in fact, they had said that, I guess Sade had told some of her friends that some guy had been pestering her or had got her number and was harassing her or what have you. That, hey, how do we know it wasn't this person? Since she reported that it was someone other than Max Anderson who had been, whatever it was, leaving her harassing messages or whatever the case. How do we know it wasn't this person who committed this crime as opposed to Max Anderson? So yes, lots of that, reasonable doubt. It was somebody else, or at least it wasn't my client. Lots of that, and probably more to come.
Okay, interesting. That Brady's list is very interesting. I can't imagine a black person or black people like having a list of them just being incompetent but still being able to keep their job and still being able to be in a position of authority. I find that really interesting, that Brady's list. I didn't know that even existed. I don't know why those policemen would still be on the force, but under the system, that makes sense. The other question I had was if you noticed any significant moments in the cross-examination of, I think it was an EMT or fireman, the one that provided like the proof that the car seat was in a position for a taller person. Were there any significant moments when the defense was cross-examining that person?
Let's see. 2 people talked about the positioning, Detective Joanne Donner, white woman, and then Casey Donahue, Ricky Hankins, white man, talked about the positioning of the seat, and then Detective Joanne Donner talked about the positioning of the seat. Joanne Donner is the white female who did the experiment where she went and got people who were about the same height and size as Sade and Max Anderson to go and see what it would look like for them to be in the vehicle, and then took pictures as well. Ricky Hankins is the ATF official who talked about the whole science of the fire and the science of how he knew the seat hadn't been moved and all of that. So which one of those were you talking about?
I think I was referring to Ricky Hankins.
Okay. In terms of audible responses, like during the cross-examination, I think I'd said it yesterday, Miss Scarborough authorized me to sit with the family. So I am not per se in general population. I am surrounded by Sade Robinson's relatives and family. So yes, I could hear them responding quite a bit during the cross-examination when he shut down pretty much all of the defense's efforts to, try and twist what he said or say something else, that, this, maybe the seat was moved, maybe it wasn't in that position. You don't exactly know how this fire, or even there was a point of contention around, there was about even how this was started. So there was 2 points. It was about, there was apparently some sort of stuffed animal that was saturated with a petroleum distillate, whatever brand or type. And so the defense attorney, Anthony Cotton, was attempting to say that you're saying the source of the fire is this stuffed animal. That was one where Mr. Hankins stopped him. That is not what I'm saying. And he went into the science. That was one where I could hear like the right on. Yeah, that's right. The one about the seat being moved, that was a big one because that was so important to Sade Robinson was not driving this vehicle. This was after she had been killed. Her phone had died. Like, she was not the person driving this vehicle. Max Anderson was driving this vehicle, even though you can't see him in the car, and you can't see anybody in the car. Part of it, it's really dark. It's early in the morning, like dawn hours, and even by 7, the sun is starting to come up. You still can't see anybody in the vehicle, but just as using common sense, seeing the vehicle, it's parked, and then the person that's walking out, like, now, do we think that person walked out of the car? Using common sense. Was anybody else there? But that was a point of contention about how the fire in the vehicle, how it started, and what the source. And then specifically, witnesses said, or at least one witness said, that they saw a Caucasian male throw a lighter into the vehicle to start this fire. Now, the defense attorney attempted to challenge that by saying, well, that isn't possible. If you have a lighter, like standard Bic lighter that you get at the store, once you take your thumb off of it, the flame would go out. He stopped him immediately, like, that's not true. They have lighters that have a lock on them where you could do that and toss it in and it would stay lit. And there you go. I said, well, did you examine it? Do you know if it was that type of lighter? Said, I didn't examine it. I don't know what type of lighter it was, but they do have that. That's certainly possible. And they continue like that. But I could hear numerous points even, in fact, in Hankins' testimony and in Detective Joanne Donner's testimony, where you could hear members of the family side kind of, right? Even though you're not supposed to do that, like they admonish you not to talk or make disruptions, so you're not supposed to do that, but you could hear some of them quietly, like, yeah, that's right, trying to make up that nonsense and that sort of thing. You could hear some of that. And equally, you could hear some of the disgust with the decision to allow the methamphetamines and THC evidence to be admitted. You could hear some of that as well. Which probably myself included, because I did not know that was coming. So I was kind of in shock with that one. Even I had to pause for a moment, like, ew, do I share that? And then I was like, had to stop for a moment, like, oh, wait a minute. Court TV is in the back of the room. Like, they probably, dang. And then, they said it once the jury came back too. So, yes, you could hear in those specific points that you questioned about, you could hear responses from the audience and the family members specifically and at other points in the trial.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, those were my two questions. I just appreciate the coverage that you've been doing so far. I've been following it. I'm definitely going to download that Life 360 app. I think it's very useful. So far, it's just been, it's just really horrible to hear, but also really informative. So thank you.
That is the goal. And Miss Scarborough said the same thing. She said this like immediately. The first time that I talked to her, like about that app, and both ways. When I say both ways, meaning Life 360, and it was two that they talked about today. Find My iPhone. That those apps, and just because they have so much data, like hopefully it won't be this type of thing. But I mean, even then, if it's absolute nightmare worst case scenario where it's been some sort of criminal act, hey, now it's not going to be, well, I halfway remember and she said she was, no. She was precisely, you got the GPS coordinates, time, speed, how long, like, woof, it is, wow. Like, it can be very powerful evidence. All you got to do is take a screenshot and you got it forever. Date stamped, everything. And then the other way, the apps that I mentioned from her white friend, Evelyn Gertz, who helped her with these dating apps. Miss Scarborough said that the very first time that I spoke with her months ago, before I even had an inkling of, I'm going to go to hell, Milwaukee, hang out for a few weeks. She said, these parents, because she said, I didn't know she had some date with some white dude who's 15 years older than her. She's 19, he's 33. I didn't know nothing about that. She said, man, I would hope more parents, even though my child was not a baby, she technically was so-called grown. She was living, had her own lease, own place, own jobs, two of them. So, I can't tell her that much. But she said these children are using their phones and apps to hide all kinds of things from their parents. They can get on Tinder and all the rest of it and be hooking up with these presumably 33-year-old white dudes, even though it may have been that Max Anderson had been stalking her and hanging out at bars looking for someone to abduct. That may have been the case. It may not necessarily be that they met on these dating apps, but man, I mean, I don't think you're going to find Universal Man on Tinder. I'm just saying. I could be wrong. Maybe I need to go and check again after we get off air, but I don't think anybody or too many folks are going to have that on their profile, like hobbies producing justice, counter-racism research. Like, what? Get out of here. But yeah, those apps, that another one, talk to the young people about, can be all kinds of Max Andersons and Jeff Dahmers hanging out on those apps, and especially for young people who are confused about all kinds of things, in particular white supremacy, racism, and what it means to be white.
I was going to say, I think another useful thing is if you don't want your child to have a phone, they can also have like the watches, and I think those might actually be better because you can kind of put down the phone or leave a phone or lose a phone, but it's a lot harder to like lose a watch if it's on you all the time. So, and they have the Find My app on there too. So that's another alternative.
Great point. Great point. Safety, like, can't emphasize it enough. Safety for young folks and maybe older folks too. Like, man, because it's older people who, go out, and I think some of the witnesses said that, like, even for, older people who quote unquote date or go out or whatever. It might not even be a date, just so people who care about you and what have you can kind of keep track and know where you are if something happens or what have you. Like, oh, okay, we got it. I told you it was an 11-year-old child who went missing. They found him, thankfully, here in Milwaukee this week. But even something like that, like, might be helpful if they got, watch on, Find My iPhone. There we go. And as she said, you'd have the watch on as opposed to your phone, which could be put down or what have you. They even had testimony about the evidence that the phone was destroyed in the fire as well, perhaps deliberately concealing information. Any hoodles. If other folks have questions and such as we continue with the coverage throughout the week, let me know. I'm going to try and be on my grind and see if I can interview some of the folks at the courthouse, right? Because I could record them there and just bring them back, and then we can upload the content, listen to what folks had to say live at the courthouse, and do it real professional journalism style, so we can get some live interviews directly from the scene. What some of the other people who've been at the trial directly, some of the things that they've heard, what's been a key point of emphasis for them in terms of evidence. I know when I talked to some of the folks in the courthouse about the methamphetamine component specifically, because for some of the people, they were stunned. Like myself, like, what? Especially some of the people who knew Sade, because she was such a hardworking student. She had 2 jobs. I said, what? 47. They're like, what in the world? So do you think it was planted? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be they didn't have any evidence of that and all the rest of it. Then one of the other people said, well, they had cameras all over her residence, which they did. And they showed video footage from those cameras. So if Anderson had gone on the premises, I'm pretty sure we would have seen that, or we will see that. So I'm saying that's probably, I don't think he snuck in to put it there. They said, well, maybe some of the police did too. So I guess, I don't. Sobriety would be best. Those things, I guess, are possible. But I mean, she did meet Max Anderson at a bar. Went to several bars with him voluntarily, it seems, and was excited about going with him to the bar. That's something I've also processed a few times over, 3 intense days of the trial. It feels like it's been like a week or something. we really, because Monday was Memorial Day. I just got here on Monday, so it's really only been 3 days of trial. It feels like it has been a week or something much longer. Like, Jesus Christ. I hope this thing, they've said it's going to be 2 weeks. I hope it does not go much longer than that. Like, God. But man, it has been just the trauma of it all, and watching it, I've had to think, like, man, looking at this terrorist dude, suspected race soldier, Max Anderson, Jesus. And he looks every bit of, I guess he's 34 now, like, man, I guess he's 34 now, like, man, like, what would be the appeal of this dude? Now, of course, you wouldn't know his lengthy criminal record, which I guess they won't bring up in the trial and such, but what is the, like, that would be a question, like, why were you excited to go out with this dude? What exactly? Especially when you can see the pictures of what he looked like on April 1st and April 2nd. Like, break it down to me. Like, you have to explain, like, what is the attract? Like, you saw his profile, or you talked, what exactly did he say, do? What information did you learn about him that was, yeah, we need to go out and kick it for at least 15 minutes or so? But he's white. Yeah, but like, I would love to get that information. Again, when you do not understand white supremacy racism, what it is, how it works, what it means to be classified as white, might be your last date. Some mistakes are fatal. And again, I say the same thing I said with James Byrd Jr. And he was not no teenager. James Byrd Jr. was quite a bit older, but same error. Failure to understand what it means to be white. And that is an especially costly error to make if you are under the influence. Sobriety would be better, especially if you're going to have contact with white people. Oh, man. Woo. Water. And even, you can't even safely drink the water because they'll swango you. You got to have it. I got to cover my water up, and if I walk away from that, throw it in the trash. Throw it in the trash. I'm good. Throw it in the trash. We'll start fresh. Any hoodles. Other folks have thoughts, observations to share. You can drop an email untiljustice@gmail.com. We'll be here tomorrow, Monday through Friday. Now, I have to see. I do think the compensatory calling is important news and all that, but wow, it has been a really busy 5-6 days or so. Like, I was just at the film festival. I said that today. I'm so glad I went to the film festival. Like, I got to see lots of Seattle before I left. I got to see lots of like my favorite areas of Seattle and got to go enjoy the film festival, have a really good time in city I love, and now in hell. Anyway, but we'll be here tomorrow for sure, into the first week, and then I don't know about Saturday. We'll have to, because I had planned to go and do research and Jeff Dahmer and lots of other things, like even current trial, and talk to folks. I'm gonna see if I can do that tomorrow too, because they had people out front with signs and such. They were planning a protest. If they go and protest, I even had to try and decide, like, I wanted to stay and interview because it was black people doing the protest and they had signs and all. So that was another one. It's like, oh, see, I can get the interview and then come play that on the program. But they were about to start the afternoon trial back up, so I couldn't admit that's what I came for, to be at the trial. So I took a picture and I talked to them quick, but I was like, I gotta go. I'll talk to you all. If you're gonna be here tomorrow, we will chat tomorrow, and I'll get here early or what have you, so I can make time to chat with you and then not miss anything in the trial. But man, I'm gonna try. I will see if I can get some recorded interviews from some of the people in the trial, some of the black people that were on the search team to go out and look, and black people who ended up finding some of the remains of Sade Robinson in the case. Some of them are going to testify eventually, so I'll see if I can talk to some of them, as well as some of the other spectators and jury. You can hear some of what they think has been important in the trial thus far, what they think about the methamphetamine and THC discovery, and yet whatever the rest of the jury composition. See what they think about all that. But I'll see if I can nab some interviews, and maybe even some of the folks here in the area will chime in, share a word during our live programs as we continue with the trial and more of them find out that we're broadcasting. Any hoodles, I'm going to see if I can recoup a little bit, get some rest. It has been exhausting, like, whew, and my body is still kind of on West Coast time, but man, slowly kind of getting acclimated a little bit, and at least I think I have figured out the kind of getting to court on a regular basis, get there on time and all that, and I think I kind of got that down for at least the most part at this point. So see if we can keep on it and do some writing. That'll be the other component. If I can write out my details from each day to go with the podcast, I think that'll allow me to include more details, photos, and all the rest of it. Incidentally, if you want to see any aspect of the trial, it is on YouTube in its entirety. Like, you can everything that I've talked about, everything that I saw, you can watch, I think. Except for the jury Selena. That part they said, so except for the entire Tuesday, that's not there. But from that forward, it's all on YouTube, so I think you can watch it all. I think they have multiple apps, in fact, or multiple ways. I think Court TV is showing this. YouTube has the whole thing. The WISN, which is a local news station, they have an app where they have the entire trial, so you can watch it on your phone. So if you're interested, if you want to see specific testimony, or you just want to fast forward and see Mr. Hinkins' testimony from today, that was pretty, interesting, or the part about the drugs, whatever. Feel free, fast forward through, and you can kind of check out what they have been talking about the first couple days. I will certainly let you know if they have any explosive moments of testimony. Bang, you should definitely go and look out for specific witness and watch for these moments and all that. But I would at least say thus far, yes, I'm very glad. Even Milwaukee has been awful, but I did not expect this to be California or anything cool. I expected it to be hell. I didn't expect it to be this awful, but I mean, anyway, This is not vacation. We're here to work, so it doesn't really matter because most of the time I'm just sitting in the courtroom. But it has been worth it to come, to study, meet Miss Scarborough in person, and that's been awful as well. Just see amount like today. I guess that would be a point to end. Today, they're going over all of this. Like when they pulled those clothes out, Jesus Christ. I am sure Miss Scarborough had seen those jeans before. All of it, probably. Jacket, purse, if she didn't buy some of it or whatever. To see all of that pulled out. It seemed like he probably had tried to burn all this up with the vehicle to destroy evidence, but to see all this pulled out, she doesn't even have all of the remains of her child and didn't get the few remains that she got until I think like 8 months later. Some of the folks in the audience were telling me about that when they did the memorial service, they didn't even have a casket. Why didn't got a casket? Because they didn't have a body. Still don't have a complete body. They just got scraps, but they got those scraps 8 months later. But seeing Miss Scarborough when they pulled the clothing, purse and jacket and all that stuff out, and even the vehicle, because I'm sure I was thinking she probably rode in that vehicle at some point and saw Sade riding in that vehicle, going here and yonder and going to move this place, that place, whatever the case may be. Like, man. And now, I'm looking at it burned up with her clothes and such in it. Like, Jesus Christ. And then, like I told you, they said, like, man, multiple people said, relatives, family members of Sade said, man, seeing that leg, I couldn't even sleep last night. That's all I kept. The images just kept flashing through my head. Come on, man. Her father, I said that yesterday. Her father, Mr. Carlos, was right there. Well, I can't say unfortunately, but I mean, man, to have a grieving parent, he basically, it's almost like we got assigned seats, so he's been sitting in front of me. But man, to see her father sitting there and watch, and he looked absolutely eviscerated. Having to watch all that on the screen yesterday, and same thing today. Had to sit there and watch all of that. That's my child. 19 years old, that's my child. And nothing I can do about it but sit here and hope 12 white jurors in a city doesn't even have 35% white population. Hope these 12 white jurors don't empathize with Max, who might be their cousin. Day 4 in hell tomorrow from the Milwaukee County Courtroom. Feel free to invest. I don't know if it'd make things a whole lot better, but at least I could go and they don't even have great food options. Like, man, I had pad thai today. Think like, oh, I can at least get good. This is not like getting pad thai in Seattle or L.A. or San Francisco, or even Gus T making pad thai. Like, even pad thai in Milwaukee is like, yep, pad thai in hell. Whew. So you can invest. Racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button, top right corner. You'll see the links for Cash App and Venmo. Much obliged to all the folks who have kept us on the air for 16 years and made sure Gus T was, in fact, able to get to Milwaukee. But, whew, this is not a place to vacation or hang out at all. At all. Jesus Christ. Whew. Racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button, top right corner. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Much obliged for the folks who have invested. Irie in Cancer Alley. Louisiana, did you have commentary? Also, a mommy, did you have commentary about day 3 coverage, Sade Robinson murder trial?
Yes. You can hear me well enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. I wanted to say that I did get the teas that I offered. I got them to the address you were able to provide. I don't know if she got it, but I did do that. I had Amazon send it directly, and I do hope she got it because she's going to need all the calming effects she can get, with what I heard you say about day 2 and the shock of the pictures that you were talking about, and even the shock of seeing pink over and over again. And I'm just hoping that some things are happening to help Miss Scarborough and her whatever emotions she's experienced, whatever it is. And then the other thing I want to ask you is, what do you do to manage what you've seen? Like, what are the practices or exercises, or what do you tell yourself? Do you do mantras? Do you just do breathing exercises? But, to me, you're pretty like, I don't really hear you get, upset over stuff. So I figured this was upsetting you a lot, and I was wondering what you were going to do or what you are doing in regard to the images you've seen to help yourself.
Try to take breaks like I just did a lot of in advance, saying this is business, this is not coming here for fun, and even just knowing in advance those images were going to, I was not surprised that I was pretty much expecting we were going to see severed limbs and the most gruesome, heinous things you could imagine. So already being honest about that daily, and hey, if it gets to, you can't take it, you can always step out. Like, they don't make you stay in the courtroom, so you can always step out. They've told the family that repeatedly, and some of them had to leave yesterday, even today, some of them had to leave. So same thing for myself. They take breaks because even, jurors and non-family members, who wants to see severed? Question, when Fuller said that about Dahmer, has to be a reason a person even thinks that way, that I need to have a severed head in my freezer. We still don't have Sade Robinson's skull. It has to be a reason for someone to think that way at all. But taking breaks. Lots of folks have encouraged that. The jurors, like I said, people that aren't even, relatives or what have you, where they've needed breaks, been given breaks, taken breaks. I do the same thing. When they took lunch today, we get lengthy lunch breaks, which is kind of surprising. When I say lengthy, we get hour, 50-minute lunch breaks, basically. They'll stop at 11:45, 11:50, and then we won't resume until 1:45. So, we get massive lunch breaks. Now, again, some of this is because there's so many people, and it's a big to-do to get out of the building and then get back into the building. But if we get all that time for lunch, like today, either you can call it the nerd and Gus, or just, serendipity, but the Milwaukee Main Public Library is directly across the street from the courthouse. So I thought, I guess the nerd in me, oh, whoopee, because I was going there anyway. Dahmer archives, right? They got all the newspaper articles from Dahmer in the 90s and forward. To go and compare. I wanted to go through some of those, information on this trial right now that they have, and other components of racism. So I wanted to go there anyway. But for the trial, hey, it's always quiet at the library. If you are disgruntled, feeling anxious, traumatized, a quiet spot. Air conditioning is a little bit warm today. Air conditioning. Can sit down, drink some water. I actually had my tea. I sat. You don't have to look at anything trial related. I listened to a little Neely Fuller. Listen to some music, what have you. Calm yourself down. I did child's pose, balasana. Why do you do all that yoga if you can't use it to help calm down? Do some breathing. Had to walk to get to the library, so getting it. I sat outside. Just felt the sunshine, do some walking, just lots of self-care, just basic self-care. Same things that I tell Miss Scarborough all the time. Go to bed. Now, I mean, that can be, at minimum, try to do things so that you can go to bed, turn the television off, get in the bed, turn the lights off, at least do the things. If I was at my residence, man, I would be using my sage. I'd have my essential oil diffuser. It would be working overtime, but I'm not at my residence. So, but all that stuff, chamomile tea, I have to ask her if she got that at the trial, or I guess I could text her too. But anyway, I will ask to see if she got the tea and confirm as soon as possible. Although that's obviously not top priority right now, but I will let you know as soon as possible. But yeah, same things, that I tell Miss Scarborough. I try and make sure that I'm doing myself. Rest is a massive one, because that is Jesus Christ. Like, I think everybody has been, myself, everybody that I know that is associated with the trial has had some sort of gripe about sleep in all of this. I guess for lots of reasons. It's a long day, having to be, court starts at 8:45. So this testimony, like 8:45, bang, prosecution, you're calling your witness, and it goes all the way till 5. So even though we do get those long lunch breaks, like, Jesus Christ, when you've had to sit and look at a severed leg and all the rest of this for all this time, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, oh my God, he chopped off her breast. I think I did say that, but that was another, like, it's lots of those types of moments. That was another one where, because I didn't know that. Now, he said he chopped off her head. I knew that already. I already had my wince, and Miss Scarborough told that, okay, blah, blah. And he's going through the list. He chopped off both legs. He chopped off her left arm. He chopped off her head. He chopped off her breast. Like, what? What? That was one Z's mom asked, gasp, because I think a lot of people didn't, like, what? 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 What type of person thinks like that? And really, I flash back, because like, I've heard that before. Like, that's lynchings and such. They go out and chop off black persons. That delectable Negro, Jeff Dahmer, same thing. I said, that's whole white people's history, chopping off genitals of black people. Been doing that for centuries. But that was another one. Like, who was prepared for that? Jesus Christ. Sister in court got to hear all that? Jesus Christ. Dad in court got to hear all that? Now, who's going to try and sleep? And this is on TV all day long. That's why I say you just have to turn the TV off. That's what came out of court. I was interested to see, what did the news say about those pills and the THC? Did they make that the lead for day 2? Did they mention it at all? What? But I am done. I still haven't looked. Reach your max, you just reached your max. And it's on all day long. Like, literally, when the news comes on, Sade Robinson, day 3. Soon as you wake up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., Sade Robinson update. And literally, they'll be standing in front of the courthouse at 6 a.m., news cameras on, rolling, watching the sun come up and ready to roll. What's it going to be today? What did we talk about yesterday? News analyst on, and they'll break down, So, I mean, Miss Scarborough was saying, like, Jesus Christ. Now, how can you sleep? Sometimes it's you on television if, you're one of the family members or relatives, or at minimum they got Sade up, like you said, the pink, they got that up, and then they showed the leg in court and talked about. Now, who's going to be able to sleep now? Any hoodles, turn the TV off, try to do the best you can to get through all this. Realize and be honest, you are human, so we all have limits. So comes a point, we are done for the day. Wherever that is, might not be at the same time every day, and that might even be for court. We are done for the day, because I've seen people who did that too, like, I am done. I cannot tolerate anymore, or what. And some of that tolerating is, I am not interested in sitting next to this dude any longer. Depending on where you are in court, like, you might be where I am seated. The jury is directly, literally, right in front of me. That's what I'm trying to pay attention to as well. Like some of the jury's responses to some of this. I know they've been taking lots of notes. Like the Mr. Hinkins, when he said, they took lots of notes when he testified, as did I. But that's my side of the courtroom. If you're seated on the opposite side of the courtroom, you'd be seated like directly in front of Max Anderson. Or even if you're, a little bit closer to the middle of the courtroom, even on the side where I am, you'd be kind of seated right in front of, or he'd be seated right in front of you, Max Anderson. Even that. How much of that am I interested in tolerating? After looking at this dude, like, man, I think he did do this. And I think he's racist on top of this. Like, you did this to go get a black person. Like, man. It is quite a bit. Like, man, quite. I hope it does not last much longer than 2 weeks. And I have heard, for many reasons, I have heard the prosecutors, police officers, Miss Scarborough, she told me that. She said the attorneys, police officers, the prosecutors, they said the people who had to look at this, the evidence and pictures, they had to go and crop that torso. Got to prepare this for trial and put this on the big screen. They said, ugh, I've been traumatized. I had to go and get therapy or take a break or whatever the case may be. So these are professionals who work on these types of cases, and they said they have been impacted. So, man, I can't even imagine for family, relatives, everybody, all of us having to sit through this in the trial and everything. So, yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Yoga, sleep, self-care, know your limits, turn off the television, whatever else you have to do. But yeah, it is very, I've never encountered anything like this before. Never. And that's why I said I got to go to the library, because I think Jeffrey Dahmer pled guilty. I might be wrong, but if he did, they didn't do all this the first time, or they didn't go through and, pull out all these exhibits and all that, because I think he pled guilty. He didn't do that, so we got to go slow walk through all of this excruciating detail about all of this, with him insisting, I didn't do it. This is a drug deal gone bad by a meth addict. Whew. Anywho, did that answer your question, Irie? Felt like I might have rambled. Rambled so long I kicked her to the curb, maybe, or she muted herself, maybe. We're hearing you, not hearing you now. We're hearing you before, not now. Uh-oh. Don't know if we lost Irie or if I did such a poor job with my response, but we are not hearing you. Irie, not hearing you. Dang. Any hoodles, maybe that's my cue. Self-care, and call it a broadcast. Either way, we'll be here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5. Well, not 8. I'm locked in. We will not be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, because we would just be, wait a minute, we won't even just be getting out of court. It's Central Time, so that'd be 4. So we're at, what was that? 6? What would that be? Yeah, 6 p.m. 7. Sorry, I got my times. 7. I guess maybe we could be here tomorrow at 7, but it's a little dicey getting out of court, and that's another one. I like to give myself a little bit of time. I'm a little bit more patient. I could rush back from court and try and calm my nerves, get something to eat, get some water. I give myself that extra 30 minutes. So as opposed to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, because we're in court until 5, so 5 p.m. Central, which would be 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So it takes me a little bit of time to kind of get back. 3 p.m. Pacific, sorry. 3 p.m. Pacific, so it takes me a little bit of time to get back and settled and get my mind together about what I thought was most important from this sort of trial. Like, Jesus Christ. It takes a little bit of time. And I don't really know this city this way. I guess that's one more last thing I'll get in. Geography is really important for this trial. Like, man, even demographics of the city, the fact that this is not a white majority population city, that's important for this trial. The geography of this trial is super important. The fact I told you, Max Anderson is accused of burning this car in a Negra area of town. He didn't even live there. That's why I said, if this is him, what are you doing here? You say, well, yeah, you know, maybe that's me on the camera, but I didn't burn no car. Okay, cool. Why were you here at this time of morning? What were you doing on the Negra side of town at 7 a.m. on foot? You got a car? What were you doing? Who were you visiting? Something constructive? Geography. And where did he live? That's what I said. It's not even close to where he lived. That geography is really, really important for this trial. Like, they had to put maps up. They put maps up so many times. And because he dispersed the body parts all over the city, so they have to go around and show it. Man, it has been crazy. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. Like, if they had put this on Tubi or Netflix or something, you wouldn't even believe it. Like, what? Get out. That's like some low budget, you know, whatever slasher. No, this is real. This is Milwaukee. Mean streets indeed. Anyway, that will be today. We'll be here tomorrow, not 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Day 4, the Sade Robinson murder trial. And again, just for emphasis, man, Sade Robinson is not to blame. I wouldn't care how many, but she had 1,000 meth pills in her safe or whatever else, and 50,000 pounds of THC and whatever. I would not care. That, like, are you serious? Get out of here. She is not to blame, culpable, anything. I only say that, man, I think if we had a better understanding of the environment in which we live that is dominated by white supremacy racism, I think we would grasp why we need to make massive changes to our behavior, particularly with regards to not doing things to put ourselves in danger and not doing things that are going to compromise our brain computer. That is the most important thing that we have, and our ability to make decisions. We're going to see in the trial, but some of the folks thinks that he drugged her, and that going to these twisted fishermen, they think going to these bars underage, they put her identification, her driver's license, they put it up on the big screen and said, oh man, is there anything special about that ID? And they said, yep, it's one of those provisional identifications for young peoples that are under 21, so that it's immediately apparent this person shouldn't be in no tavern, in no bar, in no brewery, at no twisted fisherman sipping liquor with a 33-year-old, what they say, he's bartender in the community. Please. The bartender in the community should know, oh, wait a minute, you got to card him because can't be out here picking up no 19-year-olds because I am the bartender in the community, so I'm supposed to be responsible, not jeopardizing minors, which he has a criminal history of doing. Anyway, I say, at the end of every program, I say sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy, racism. I don't say that to be no prude. I don't say that because I don't got no stock in Mad Dog 2020. I say that because, man, if Jeff Dahmer is on the corner, and the record shows he is, do I think taking a sip of Mad Dog is going to put me in a better position to make sure Jeff Dahmer don't chomp on me? No. I want to be I might need to run. They say if you got some alcohol in your system, mess up your coordination. You might not even be able to stand up correctly, much less sprint to save your life. I might have to run from Jeff, like, back up off me, Jeff. Back up off me, Jeff. Sobriety would be best. We need high-functioning brain computers on alert because we are in danger. We don't even know how much danger we are in. We don't even know how. Real talk, I did for a moment, just a moment, think, Max Anderson got a criminal drug history. You think she might have got them pills from Max? Sobriety would be best. 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. Sobriety would be best. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice. That is substantially more important than dating, sipping Mad Dog 2020 or other spirits. There's nothing more important we can do with our time and energy than replace white supremacy with justice. No name calling black people. No gossiping for Sade, Carlina Robinson. No throwaway offspring. Still in hell, otherwise known as Milwaukee. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.